My name is Jonas McLaren. I identify as Sioux and Ojibwe in my First Nations background, and I'm also Canadian.
So my name's Kelly Gordon, and I'm Inuit and First Nations, Gwich'in.
My name is Ethan Tiingman, and I self-identify as Iarhe Nakota, which stands for Mountain Nakota in my language.
My name is Tim Kenny.
My name is Farada Lightning, and I guess you can say I self-identify as Iarhe Nakota.
And I'm a First Nations man, non-status. My family comes from the Jean-Baptiste Gambler First Nation in Calling Lake, Alberta.
So my given name is Michael Daniel Broadfoot. Daniel is my dad's first name. And my grandma on my mom's side and my uncle on my dad's side were the first folks on either kind of branch of my family to recognize our Métis heritage. So my parents both passed to me that ancestry of being Métis. My Blackfoot name is Apiskonaki, which means far shooter. It's given to me by my elder Mexican, Clarence Wolfleg of the Siksika Nation.
My name is Celine Dixon, and I'm from the Stoney Nakoda First Nations.
My name is Detroit McGuire, and I'm from the First Nations Reserve of Siksika Nation, east of Calgary.
I'm Boastitz. My Stoney Nakoda name is Hihathangwea, which means White Owl Woman, and my Cree name is Wachusk, which means a muskrat, because I guess I was a fighter when I was a little kid. And I recently got a Lakota name. I was adopted into a Lakota family last summer through a traditional ceremony, and they gave me the name Ta Omani Lutawi, which means her sacred journey woman. And my English given name is Glenelia Ariel Crawler, but I go by Ariel. Yeah. And I self-identify as a Stoney Nakota Sioux, or just Nakota Sioux, and I'm also Plains Cree. My dad is from Saskatchewan.
I think Indigenous self-identification is extremely important because for over 200 some odd years, various policies, instruments, and institutions are in place in this country to eradicate, ignore, and erase Indigenous identities.
It's important to self-identify because I guess going back to the card, like you don't really need that to identify as who the person you are, I guess, because again, the status card's on the floor.
What it means to be First Nations.
Well, to me, it's not really where you come from, but the kind of values you live by and whatnot. Because to the Nakota, patience, respect, and courage are a bunch of important ones. I'm forgetting about a few others, but yeah.
My personal self-identification story starts here with the Niskum Center, and I'm proud to share it with you today.
I'm First Nations. That's that. There's nothing that tells me that I'm not First Nations. You know, that's just a card.
Well, I had to fight just to get Métis status, but I would consider myself non-status.
Okay. So when I finally decided it was time to go to university, a dream I'd had since I was 5 years old, I was looking at programs in universities, and someone pointed me in the direction of the Niskum Center at Mount Royal University. My assumptions that this program was only for status First Nations people was quickly removed. I came and sat in the administrator's office for the Aboriginal Education Program. So while I sat in that office, in order to be part of the Aboriginal Education Program, I had to declare an Indigenous identity, something I'd never done before. I'd never checked a box on any official form or anything to say that I was Indigenous.
For me, being First Nations, I never grew up on a reservation, so I never had that aspect of culture in my life where a lot of Indigenous people have that proud culture behind them. I grew up in the city. I've always been an urban Indian.
And I decided to check the box First Nations non-status. I checked the box, and everything changed.
Simple terms, I'm a part of the Indigenous community across Canada.
Yeah, I guess, well, I always had blonde hair my whole life, and I always had a brown face my whole life, so.
Who I was growing up when I was younger, and that I was Nakota. I wasn't exactly proud of that because at the time when I was younger, it's kind of hard to latch onto something positive and be proud of who you are when everything you see around you is not exactly something you want to aspire to. And you always hear about the stereotypes, drunks, this and that. Yeah.
Any trouble with self-identifying?
Actually, yeah, you know, coming out here, like, on the res and, like, meeting other Indigenous people, everybody, like, just looking at me knows I'm Indigenous. But non-Indigenous, it's always like, oh, you look like you're this race or this race or this race. And for me, self-identifying is very important because I obviously don't look like a typical Native.
So that's the thing is, like, I'm not really sure what it means because I've come to Alberta to come for education. And so that has meant that I've had to leave my hometown in order to do that. And so I've lost out on cultural knowledge, such as traditions and customs and protocols of being a First Nation as an Inuit person.
And attempted to be a white person, like a white man. This is how I carried myself, and through the systems of colonization, my parents have come to a place where they would rather identify as a white person and conveniently a Métis person when they want to talk about it. So they kind of struggle with that.
Means to me is that it also, like, obviously it's important to know who you are, right? Like, so then I have self-identity issues right now is because I don't know my people. I don't know, you know, the language and stuff. And I've adapted to, like, this territory and the Cree territory or the Blackfoot territory and knowing their traditions and customs. So
it's an important part of my identity. Like, it's, for me, being First Nations part of who I am as a person.
Most of my life, I didn't identify as an Indigenous person. In fact, like, grew up with prejudice towards Native people.
To go through a lot of jumping through hoops to get my mom's status. In order for me to get status, I had to get my mother to have status. Had to appeal my case 4 times, and I was denied because what they told me was my grandmother didn't change her last name back to her maiden name before she married my grandfather.
We have a daughter. Her name's Nakota, and she'll be 4 this year. And ever since I had her, it just changed my perspective on life and kind of remembering how my mom was with me and then remembering my late grandma, how she was with us. And I kind of want to be that kind of a guide for my daughter and just making my late grandmother proud.
And the only reason I took that upon me is because it's part of who I am and I want to learn who I am along the way. My culture, like my language, the customs that come with it, those things matter, and to build upon those and use them in a real time is very important to me.
My mom was a residential school survivor. There wasn't any, she was the only one in her family that didn't have any status. So when I applied, I had to make sure my mom had applied before, and she ended up getting hers, and I had all the paperwork filled out for a bunch of my other family members that ended up getting status.
So that self-identification is part of that pushing back.
Feel comfortable speaking my language. I was kind of embarrassed of it because of, like, the racism and stuff that we still face today.
Something I'm just learning myself to be okay in my own skin.
Aniskum Center is my family. They claimed me as one of their own, and I allowed them to claim me as one of their own. They showed me traditions, ceremony, things that I never would have been exposed to without them.
Center has done a lot of things in terms of supporting me. Like, I started coming to MRU last year around this time, and I started in the AEP program run by Tori here in Aniskum. And I didn't know what I wanted to do. I wanted to go into broadcast media at first, so I didn't think about PR as my final degree.
It's a huge impact in a positive way. Here you're able to adapt or engage in different cultures and for this territory and these people here. So you can engage in different traditions and customs and beliefs and values in order to, you know, substitute that for your own.
A good impact on me because it was basically just a safe space for me to go to because of the isolation here in Mount-Royal.
We always had some sort of barrier, and with that, like, I had supports in Aniskum where, like, people like Steve really did help me in terms of, you know, looking for support to trying to find a place here in the city.
The center has been incredible in helping me get used to everything. Yeah.
A lot, actually. Before, I never really, like, honestly, never really connected with my brothers or sisters. And then being here, it's more of a connected community.
I just want to say thank you to Aniskum Center. it's, you know, this place makes a huge difference for a lot of people.
Well, I guess this is because I'm in my first year of university, and I guess this is sort of like because this was the first place I was been to like, you know, I registered through Tory. And that's where I guess this is my beginning. I guess my journey is the Niskum Center. I guess.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that my story inspires anybody like me who feels shame about who they are or has any presumptions or assumptions about themselves placed internally or placed on them by other people. And I hope that my story helps encourage you to decide who you are. But we need you to claim your Indigenous identity if you're Indigenous.
Provides a safe haven for us Indigenous people.
It has a huge impact on my life. Well, because I've been out of school for about 16 years. I left when I was 11. Got in last semester, so this is my second semester, and I've met like amazing people here in the Iniskam, and I'm so glad they tolerate my loudness and my annoyingness. But yeah, they're really good people here, and they really helped a lot, and they're really supportive. Yeah.
And now I get to carry on that legacy because I checked a box.
Without the Iniskam Center, I wouldn't be in university.
It's important to self-identify. It's because it's because you know who you are deep down. As long as you know who you are, that's going to be the main foundation why you choose to do things in life.
You know, look at me, like I said, my brown face. First Nations, no matter what.
We need more of us. We need more of us in academic spaces. We need more of us in institutions. We need more of us in government. We need more of us everywhere. And that comes by claiming who you are and allowing the Creator and your lineage to claim you.